start by saying that at the beginning of the trial, there was an argument as to whether the judge should allow the prosecution to put up a picture of my daughter because it was assumed that she was once alive. We were asked not to wear a shirt bearing her face as it might draw pity from the jury. Well, to us, Shayla was not just a victim in a criminal case. She was once a very much alive person. She was a daughter, a sister, a granddaughter, a niece, and a friend. And on July 23rd, a few people decided that it was their job to play God and take her away from the people that loved her so dearly. Shayla was a vibrant person who loved her life. She was beautiful, smart, and a person who excelled in everything that she did. She loved art of all types, writing, drawing, painting, and her work always seemed to fit her life at the moment. Shayla was a person who loved her family, friends, and people in general. She would help a stranger in a minute. I remember a winter day when she came home, and she was happy that she was able to help a man on the street. And she said to me, "Mom, don't be upset, but I gave the blanket you made for me to a homeless guy. It was cold outside, and besides the $4 in my pocket, it was the only thing I could offer him." And I love that about her. She touched so many people from all walks of life. Her being taken from us has been devastating and has affected our entire family on many levels. First, I would like to talk about her brother, Anthony. Due to the fact that he knew a couple of the accused men, he has carried a great weight of guilt on his shoulders. He's angry and depressed, and Anthony's father and I have tried desperately to get him into counseling, but he's not ready to do that, and until he's able to get the help he needs, it's a daily worry for his father and I as to where his life is heading. For myself, I'm under the care of a doctor and counselor. And there's not a day that passes that I do not speak of Shayla as though she's still here, that she may return from this long trip that she's gone on. In my mind, I guess if I try to keep her alive, I don't have to face the reality that she's in fact gone for good. I've not been able to go through the grieving process and accept this as I'm constantly in court or reading about it in the media. This trial alone left me thinking, what kind of people do this to other people? My daughter was in her home, she was asleep in her bed, and these men came to her and they beat her with guns and they drug her to a car and they tossed her in the trunk like yesterday's garbage. And if that wasn't enough, they put 5 bullets into her because she didn't cooperate with the plan that they never clued her into in the first place. I live every day imagining how afraid she must have been. And the pain that they put her through, along with the humiliation of shooting her in the vaginal area. Every day I wish it were me that had been there when they came and me whose life they had taken. I'm sorry.
No, that's quite all right.
As I sat in the courtroom listening to Klein and Lanier tell their stories of the night, I looked for remorse for them. But instead it was like a story they had told many times before, and with no reaction from Lewis as he listened. Every day I pray that God will help me find the strength to forgive them, but how do I forgive someone who has no remorse for what they have done? The one positive I pulled from this trial is that it answers some of the questions I had as to why and how this happened. It was a beginning step for me, but a long way from the finish line. Child or not, Charles Lewis Jr. is of an age that he knows right from wrong, and he knew exactly what was happening that night. At any point on the evening of July 23rd, 2010, Lewis or any of the other 7 accused men could have put a stop to the crime or chose not to participate at all, but that didn't happen. No one held a gun to their head. No one made them do anything that they didn't want to do. And we keep hearing about Charles Lewis Sr., and he had a very small role in his life, being that he was jailed when Charles Jr. was only 4 days old. Maybe Charles Jr. has had a disadvantaged life, but what about his past should lead us to believe that he has any chance at a positive future with only a juvenile sentence? Knowing this quote-unquote child's past, I do not feel he can be rehabilitated or at any point in his life a productive member of society. This was not only noted by the doctor that took the stand last week, but also by 2 of Charles's previous JCOs. It is unfortunate that this child's family has failed him in his upbringing, or that he has had to live his life through the absence of his parents. But this is not a burden that society should have to carry, or a worry that we should have to live with, that he could one day commit the same type of crime should he be released at an early age. It was difficult to listen to the doctor last week tell us that Charles had no remorse and no feelings about what he had done. A normal person carries some kind of guilt or burden. I do not know that a person can be taught to have those feelings. He had no regard for another person's life, so why should he find pity from us when considering the outcome of the remainder of his life? We also heard doctors from the defense side stating that this person should be placed in an environment where he'll have a chance to be educated and counseled and find the role models that he lacked in his upbringing. I find myself asking the question, why are we focusing on putting him in a program where he's going to be rewarded for good behavior, or in a facility where it would be close enough for his family to visit? I'm sorry, but for me that's a hard pill to swallow. There was no concern as he was growing up that he be educated or counseled by a doctor or spiritually, or for that matter that he have parental monitoring or guidance. I understand that he's not fully mature, but at the end of the day he participated in an evening that ended in murder, and that's what we're here for. To sentence him for his crime, not to be concerned that he be rewarded for what he's supposed to do. I ask you, Judge Economy, to do the same thing that you asked the jury, and that is to look at the crime and not this person's age. He committed an adult crime and he should be sentenced as such. There sat a jury of 12 people who found him guilty on not one charge but all charges, including felony murder. This crime carries a sentence of life without parole, and his sentence should be life and nothing less. Some people have speculated that we're seeking revenge, but the truth is I did not put Charles Jr. in the defendant's chair. He put himself there with his choices that he has made. And through this hearing and all of the past court dates, our family has been treated as though we were the ones who arrested, pressed charges, and found him guilty. I know that this is difficult on all families involved, and as each individual family sits in this courtroom, I would ask that you keep in mind that when this one finishes and you leave to return home to your lives, we still have 7 more trials to go through. This is a never-ending nightmare for us. And where are the pastors to speak for my daughter? It's great that you want to become involved in trying to help a child from going to prison for the rest of his life. But look at yourself and answer this question. Where were you when these young boys and men needed mentoring? And why are you not more proactive in their upbringing? Don't show up for the finals if you're not going to be there for the study period. My daughter lost her life on July 23, 2010. And people made that choice for her. She didn't get a say in whether she lived or died. Never will she have the chance to dance at her wedding, feel the joy of being a mother. She will never be afforded the opportunity to fully mature. She will forever be 19, and we, her family, have to serve a life sentence in dealing with that loss. Your Honor, we don't want revenge. We want justice for our child.
Call Mark Johnson.